you're all very welcome to the Gaelic Gridiron podcast presented by Print My Pint. If you're looking for something for the new year, if you're having a New Year's Eve party or you're planning a celebration, if you're not doing dry January and you're planning a little shindig for the first few weeks of January, make sure you check them out at printmypint.ie. Give them a follow on Instagram and social media. They are doing great things. This is officially the Christmas edition of the Gaelic Gridiron podcast, and I'm delighted to have it. Is Christmas week, Twist. I've just seen your reaction there. I know, it's very strange to think that
my Christmas jumper.
we have to get the Steelers Christmas jumpers for next year. Jimmy English joined by Connor Tate, and welcome back to Stephen Twist Kearns. Delighted to have him back, especially after that Steelers Lions game last night, which we are going to discuss at length because my God, what an incredible, wild finish. And as Jim Nance was saying on the broadcast to Tony Romo last night, it has been a wild and wacky few weeks in the NFL. A wild and wacky season with all the injuries we've had, the way things have kind of shaken out. And we're going to recap the biggest games on the biggest storylines from NFL Week 17, as well as looking ahead to NFL Week 16, as well as looking ahead to NFL Week 17, which kicks off on Christmas Day with a festive triple header. Lads, it is Christmas, of course. How are we all doing? We all keeping well, I hope.
It's good. It's that time of the year in the NFL where every game is game of the week. You can't go wrong there. And every game has, most every game has some type of implications for the playoffs. We've seen so many shifts and changes this week in seedings and people locking in, people get eliminated, and the scheduling gods praising us with a few teams not having meaningless Week 18 football, which we'll discuss, I'm sure, later on in the podcast.
Yeah, this is the witching hour of the season, the witching weeks,
the entire season.
Yeah, and it's the crux of it all. It's what it comes down to. You know, they say it's big boy football after Thanksgiving, and more so than ever this year with the amount of teams still in the mix, not just for playoff positions. Playoff positions are sort of solidified with one or two exceptions, but everyone can go and get the one seed, apart from the South in the NFC and the North in the AFC. Everyone else is still in the mix for the number one seed. It is absolute chaos, and we have some huge matches still coming up over the next 2 weeks, so super excited. Merry Christmas, everybody.
We'll definitely get into the taking a look at the playoff picture later on. Just having a look here quickly, and the NFC is filling up fast. I mean, the Bears got in last night with the Lions loss. The 49ers got in last night with the Lions loss. So there's only 2 available playoff spots left in the NFC, whereas the AFC is an entirely different story. Only 2 teams have clinched playoff spots to date: the Broncos and the Patriots, with their win over the Baltimore Ravens last night. Speaking of the Bears, we had some Saturday night football this weekend for the first time this year, obviously with the conclusion of the college football regular season into the playoffs there. The Bears putting off a wild win, Connor, over the Packers. Just a totally crazy finish, and it puts Caleb Williams and the Bears now top of the NFC North, two and a half games ahead of the Packers, I believe. And the Packers are more or less out of playoff contention, as well as losing their starting quarterback, Jordan Love, to a concussion. So, they've just completely turned their season around. They've turned the franchise around there, and they're a legitimate contender now in the NFC for a Super Bowl, perhaps. I mean, what were you watching that game back the next morning? What were you kind of thinking about the Bears?
I didn't have to watch it back the next morning. I stayed up for that one.
Oh my God!
I knew it was going to be that good a game, and it was, and it went on to the late hours of the morning.
That's why I didn't stay up. I prefer my bed over
football
listen, anytime.
It was worth it, and it looked like it was going to peter out into a Green Bay win. Cairo Santos with his incredible leg in that wind, keeping the Bears just about alive, and then the onside kick at the end. I mean, 8% chance of a recovery of an onside kick this year, and Chicago went and got it. Chicago have the it factor. They really do, and Green Bay needed that one. They really, really needed that game. They will probably squeak in now, but they won't get the division. And I like Chicago, and I like Ben Johnson, man. And Caleb Williams is playing good ball. I tell you, that was just a monumental win for Chicago. It was incredible.
Yeah, the way they went about it, Twist, as well. I mean, like Connor said, it was looking like it was going to be another Green Bay win and a sweep for Green Bay. But things just seemed to go Chicago's way. Obviously, they had the fumble by Aaron Jones on the hands team on the onside kick. They recovered that. Caleb Williams throws a touchdown pass into a rookie, Ja'Day Walker. I mean, what a grab in the back of the end zone as well on that one. He went up and brought that ball down. And then the finish, I mean, to force overtime with that touchdown, and then a DJ Moore walk-off touchdown, 40-yard heave down the field in very, very tight coverage. It was just obviously created on the recovery of the fumble by backup Packers quarterback Malik Willis. It was just an incredible sequence of events. And it just kind of stands to Connor's point about how the Bears just have the kind of X factor right now.
Yeah, I'd like all Bears fans who were down on Caleb Williams from day one to sign their apology forms and return them to Soldier Field as soon as possible before you jump on the bandwagon, because that is leaving town fast. Packers seem to be always going one step forward, two steps back. You know, they were bit by the injury bug mid-season. Everyone was like, we're only saying who's the receiver room, who's going to step up. And in fairness, the guys stepped up. The other guys on the team stepped up, and Jordan Love was playing fairly decent football. And then again in this game, the injury bug catches them out again. They lose another tight end. Jordan Love goes down to a concussion. Malik Willis,
Micah Parsons as well with the ACL last week, a huge loss.
Yeah, Malik Willis ends up hurting his shoulder as well in this game. So the Packers seem to be getting hit with the injury bug at the wrong time. Now, that doesn't take away from the Bears. Caleb Williams went out and proved all his doubters wrong once again. Didn't miss DJ Moore this week, and put in a phenomenal ball to DJ Moore to get the win for Chicago. Chicago are the dangerous team, the team that you shouldn't be underestimating on the NFC side of the ball. You know, they win that division. You got to go into Soldier Field for at least one playoff game in January. Unless you're Green Bay, any other NFC team, you look at the other NFC teams like who are currently
they're all from the west where the sunny climate,
from the sun and the warmth and stuff like that. Now, don't write out the Packers out yet. The Packers still have a 92% chance of making the playoffs. So they still are in it. As Connor said, they're not getting to the division at this point. Like it's you know, it's going to be hard for them to do. I do want the Packers, whoever, to win out, because if they win out, they keep the Lions out, and that's just another prediction of mine that has come true if that happens.
Plus, Bears fans mightn't have the opportunity to send letters to Soldier Field for much longer because there's been a bit of a buzz going around the week. And Connor, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on this as well, about the Bears potentially leaving Chicago over an argument with the state senate. The state senate basically don't want to fund a new stadium in downtown Chicago, which is in Illinois. So the Bears came out and basically threatened to move the team to Indiana, which would be a crazy move. Like, I mean, the Packers and Chicago go together. They're inseparable. The identity. Sorry, the Bear. I keep saying the Packers. I don't know why I keep saying the Packers.
You're just trying to wind up Bears and Packers fans. That's what I'm saying.
Any Bears Packers fans listen, shouting at their laptops right now at this podcast. The Bears and Chicago are intrinsically linked, and for the Bears to potentially be leaving Soldier Field to build their own stadium outside of Illinois, it would be unheard of. It would be a disaster for the city, for the state, for fans.
Well, I think there are probably enough podcasts dedicated to American politics and enough opinions out there. And what a touchy subject. So I'll be real careful. I'll tread real lightly here and I'll keep this NFL based. Yes, the Chicago Bears represent Chicago and the state of Illinois. Soldier Field, the history there, it would be a travesty for the heritage of the sport should that change. Politics aside, the Chicago Bears should stay right where they are.
Well, I'm just going to come out and say the Bears are not going anywhere. The Commanders recently threatened to move if they didn't get their stadium built. The Browns threatened to move. The Bengals threatened to move. It's a classic team move. They're going to go, right, you're not going to give us money from taxpayers to pay for this stadium. We're going to move. And I don't care what your city's like or how big your city is or how popular it is. If your NFL team threatens to leave, you're going to, unless you're Oakland, you're going to bend over backwards.
Or St. Louis.
Yeah.
Or San Diego.
To try and keep them, because once they leave, that vacuum is almost impossible to like refill. Now, like the Bears have the Cubs, and they've got the Blackhawks, and they've got the Bulls. They're not short on major league sports teams, but it's a football town.
I know, but it's the
It's a
Bears.
football town.
Yeah,
It's the Bears, man.
It's a
One of the
football
most
town.
iconic, the most iconic franchises in the NFL.
They're not going anywhere. It's just a bargaining chip. They're going to say, we're going to pull this out. Look at all the revenue you're going to lose on downtown food, transport, parking alone. Don't know if you've ever been to downtown Chicago. It ain't cheap to park. And even if they went to Indiana, yeah, they wouldn't be the Chicago Bears anymore. They'd be the Indiana Bears. But Indiana is like 45-minute drive. I've driven over to Indiana to buy cheap beer.
The Bloomington Bears. That's an interesting one.
They ain't going anywhere. Bears fans, don't forget them. Focus on your playoff run. Focus on Caleb Williams lighting the league up. Your Bears are going to be the Bears of Illinois, Chicago, until the heat death of the universe.
Well, we had a very, very exciting end to that game. And speaking of other exciting ends, the Steelers and Lions on Sunday evening, up until the wee hours as well, watching that one. I think it was 1 o'clock when I went to bed because that game went on for a while. But what a crazy, wild, wacky ending we had in that. Two back-to-back offensive pass interference calls on the Lions negated any sort of chance of coming back. They had one wiped out on Amon-Ra St. Brown by Isaac Tesla, and then a touchdown by St. Brown wiped out by Tesla, and then an OPI call, Connor, on St. Brown as well as time expired. So I don't know if anyone else watched this play unfold. So Amon-Ra St. Brown catches the ball, pushes off on Jalen Ramsey, gets denied from the end zone, and then flips the ball back to his quarterback, Jared Goff, who somersaults into the end zone for an apparent score. Chaos ensues. Nobody has a clue what's going on. And then the referees ruled that because it was an OPI, the quarter or the half, whatever, cannot be extended by rule.
Yeah. And
there's no review, there's no extension, game over. They said, yes, it was a touchdown, but there was an OPI and we can't go back and play it because the game can't end on a DPI, but it can end on an OPI. So, and look, Dan Campbell came out after the game and said, the rules are the rules. We put ourselves in that situation by having those miscues and various things going on. But just if you're a Lions fan watching that game, you have to feel absolutely robbed after they drove back and almost won it.
Just take a moment and sympathize for the man that sat his girlfriend down to watch that game, a football game for the first time in her life. And he said, honey, football's a simple game. You're going to love it. And he ended up choosing Pittsburgh and Detroit, right? Kudos to the referees because they made the right decision.
Yeah.
But there are some
the right call.
The right call. And even more so, how often do you see an offensive pass interference call in that sort of situation? I mean, that's gutsy. He did not have to throw that flag. That could have been a physical receiver as opposed to an actual offensive pass interference. Right call, but we don't often see it called in those sorts of insanely important situations. So gutsy call to throw it, correct call, and then the correct deliberation and ultimately decision. Just absolute madness, man. And for me, I love being surprised by football because now my life is football and it takes a lot to surprise me. And they managed to do it. And even Jared and Aaron were in the middle going, what the heck's going on? Like, it's this is why we love the game. That was very a technicality, but this is why we love the game, man. You just never know what's going to happen.
It's one of those weird calls that doesn't happen that frequently. And it doesn't happen that frequently when you have veterans of 20 plus years like Rodgers on the sideline not knowing exactly how this is going to go. I will say, as you said, everything is right. Like, right call, right time. Like, gutsy call to throw that flag. The referee could have explained it a little bit better because the way he started it off, like, everyone in Detroit's, like, all the Detroit fans were like, yeah, we won the game.
No, I was just adding suspense.
Yeah. And then, but if you look at I've seen videos as well from inside M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens fans who were watching the game, waiting for their game to start, they're all cheering because they thought the Lions won as well because of the way the referee explained it. And it was only when he finished the sentence, we're like, oh, wait, hang on, we didn't win. But it was a crazy game. In fairness,
there was so much happening in that game. And Connor, to your point about being a gutsy call about the ref throwing the flag, I think they had to throw that flag because the Steelers had a touchdown pass ruled called back in an OPI as well, where a
Yeah.
defender ran into Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington,
Washington ran into that defender.
I don't
He
know.
absolutely took him out. Now, in fairness, the defender was holding onto him the way Santa holds onto the reins of the reindeer. You seen his t-shirt ripping behind them. He was holding onto Metcalf, but Darnell Washington, he knew exactly. That's a crossbar that was designed to chip him, but rather than chip him, he took him out.
Took his head off.
What I'm getting at though is like the situation of the game definitely bears weight to it. If you think of a football match, right, like a soccer match, and you have two identical fouls, one happens in the 5th minute and one happens in the 85th minute. More likely in the 85th minute he'll book the guy, right? Because if he books him after 5 minutes, he changes the trajectory of the game. The guy's on eggshells for the next 85 minutes, right? So that's kind of what I'm getting at. And then as opposed with the gray areas in football, and there are some serious gray areas now, because we had two crazy, unusual moments this week. One of which was the Pittsburgh-Detroit, one of which was the 2-point conversion for the Seahawks, which they ended up recovering. When does the play go dead? Like, when was the whistle there? Was there a whistle? Did we hear a whistle? And then let's assume that St. Brown didn't push off, right, for the sake of this argument. And he caught that ball, but he was outside of the end zone. And then he got gang tackled, but he then either shoveled it or had it popped out and fumbled and it went to go. At what point was his forward progress stalled?
Yeah.
So these are the gray areas that really determine the game, and you cannot put a linear thing on it. It is just up to
it's up to the
discussion each time.
And I think the referees as well, they're getting better at not blowing things. They're letting plays play out, because there's been a couple of, we saw where there's defenses are returning fumbles for touchdowns, and the time and time again defenses have been caught out because the refs have blown it dead too early. So it's a, like you say, Connor, it's a very, very gray area.
It is. Well, Josh Allen had an amazing touchdown last year. It was a highlight reel one. He threw the slant out to his left in the snow, and his receiver got held up for a good second and a half before he pitched it back to Josh, and then he Superman dove into the pylon. And it was an amazing play. But in my opinion, his forward progress had been stopped. So that play should have been blown dead, because the defender was trying not to give away a 15-yard penalty by mauling him into the ground.
Yeah.
So he paid the ultimate price for that, and we got a highlight reel moment for it. Fantastic. But these gray areas, man, and they make such a big difference in these games that are all so important at the end of the season. Maybe they have to look at rewriting the rule book and make it even more strict. Like, there has to be a time limit for forward progress, like 0.something seconds or a whole second.
A full second.
Yeah, maybe one whole second, because it's now causing ripple effects through the entire NFL, these individual moments.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does come down to the referees being human, and one referee may look at, for example, James Cook being held for a second and go, I'll give him another second, and the same referee in a different game would look at Saquon Barkley, and as soon as he's like, whoa, protect him, stop him. Like, that's it. So it is coming down to being human. There's a bit of effect in it, but hey, it makes interesting discussions, gives fans something to talk about online, gets that social media engagement going. It gets people betting on crazy stuff as well. They're like, oh, is this going to happen again? So that's all the NFL wants.
It was definitely one of the better games for the Steelers as well, and they've put together a nice string of games at the right time. They're on a 3-game winning streak now. So Jaylen Warren obviously had a great game, two rushing touchdowns of 45 yards each. He kept probably the best rushing game we've seen from Jaylen Warren in a long time, to be honest with you, especially this season.
Kenneth
Gainwell.
All 3 touchdowns were 45 yards.
Kenneth Gainwell as well. He's really come into his own. He is the Steelers' number 1 wide receiver now statistically. He had another crazy play where, was he down? Was he not down? They ruled him not down first of all. Then they went back and actually he wasn't touched. So he caught the ball, got up, had the presence of mind to get up and run into the end zone. So
it reminded me of that old Tyler Lockett situation where he caught the same ball on the ground, and the Packers thought he dropped it and he rolled on, jumped up and ran in for the touchdown. Similar situation. It's one of those, they used to call them back in the early 2000s, the bang bang plays.
Yeah.
Where you don't blow the whistle, you just let it go. And that's where they stop blowing whistles so frequently. You just got to let it go, see what happens. We'll go back and review it afterwards. But that was a wild and then the less said about DK Metcalf's off-field.
Yeah.
The better.
But apparently, I was reading online, I saw a tweet from Adam Schefter. he had history with the fan, so the fan was like. So I think he'll be fine because the league, I think in that case, will protect their players. Now, if DK had closed his fist and had made contact, it'd be a different story because
They're
obviously
still
there'd be
investigating it for disciplinary purposes, but we'll
No,
see.
no, no. How is his punishment going to be less because he messed up the punch?
Yeah, you should. It doesn't
That
matter.
doesn't make any sense. As long as
Yeah.
there was intent, that's like that's like saying the difference between murder
it's
and
difference
attempted
between
murder.
it's difference between open fist and closed fist. I mean, that's a
He's
world
still
of difference
assaulted
there.
a fan.
You're taking a swipe at a fan. I don't like. I'm sure he said some nasty stuff, but you're a professional. You just got to, well, who's that fan compared to DK Metcalf? Who's that guy? What's he achieved in his life compared to DK Metcalf? You know where you are. You're an elite NFL player. You don't need to justify yourself to this guy with a blue wig on in the crowd. So be a professional about it.
You
Walk
can
away
see
and tell him you're going to talk on the field.
You see what
you can
happened
see the
in the NBA with the big fight in the garden. Like, you just can't do that. Like a couple of years back, you can't do that. Doesn't matter. Fans will heckle you. Fans will call you names. If you're in Philadelphia, fans will throw things at you. You just gotta suck it up. You're being paid millions of dollars to be there, and if you put your hand on a fan, then you're potentially looking at losing millions of dollars.
Yep.
And you're also looking at losing a hell of a lot of money through the league, and possibly, depending on how the league reacts to it, he could be put out. He could, like, if he gets suspended next week against the Browns, like, that's a big loss for Steelers, because if Steelers beat the Browns on Sunday, we win the division and we clinch our playoffs.
And you could see how it was weighing on his mind because he came back in and had 2 drops back to back. But look, ultimately, the Steelers have one of their best, if not the best games on offense all season. 481 total yards against the Lions. Admittedly, a banged up Lions defense, missing so many pieces in the secondary. But look, they're getting hot at the right time. Like we said, they beat the Browns next weekend. They win the division. They're into the playoffs. And look,
I will give it to it. It was a late finish for the game. I did switch the game to my phone so I could put on the Penguins game, which started like at the exact same, like while the Steelers game is still on. So I got to see the Steelers come back, hold the Lions with the crazy finish, and I got to see Sidney Crosby set the franchise record for points. So an overall, and didn't go to bed till 3 a.m. Overall, good weekend for me with sports.
It's Christmas. Connor, your prediction or a topic we want to discuss that we discussed in last week's podcast, the NFC battle between the Panthers and the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Bryce Young coming up clutch in that one. Baker Mayfield throwing an unfortunate last kind of fourth quarter interception to give the Panthers the win. But Bryce Young coming up clutch when it counted. 2 incredible touchdown passes to T-Mac and Jalen Coker. And just he really, like, speaking of teams and players that are getting hot at the right time, Bryce Young is definitely among those. And now the Panthers they're ahead and they're leading the NFC South and they're looking to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and they will hope that they can wrap it up this weekend. But my point from last week's show was that week 15 and week 17 are quasi irrelevant for those teams, because if they can just sweep the matchups in 16 and 18 against each other, they're winning no matter what happens, irrespective. Yeah. It was more important for Carolina to win this one than it was for Tampa Bay because of the schedule. Week 17, Tampa are at Miami, which is a much more winnable game than Carolina, who welcome in the Seattle Seahawks. So if you're basing it on strength of teams in the NFL this year, Tampa will win, Carolina will fall to Seattle, and it will go down to a Week 18 showdown, which may well be the Sunday night game for Week 18, winning in. Great job for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers, man. I know we were big on Baker Mayfield and we enjoyed how well he was playing at the start of the season, but secretly as a neutral with nobody in the fight anymore, I hope that the Carolina Panthers end up in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've been 10 years without a playoff appearance. Bryce Young has taken a hell of a lot of, like...
He looked good. He looked very, very good yesterday.
Oh, no, but I mean, he took a hell of a lot of abuse off fans, off pundits for, like, all last season. He's now come back, and again, it goes back to the old argument. Some quarterbacks develop at different speeds. Not everyone is just because he's a first-round pick, he's going to be a superstar from the get-go. Bryce Young is starting to look like he's building up and becoming what he is in terms of draft capital. But I will say, I was watching that matchup because I was like, that's the most important, most interesting for me, one of the early games. And the commentators kept saying, no one has thrown an interception in this game. There's been no turnovers this game. And I was like, please stop saying it. And then, of course, Baker throws the first and only interception of the game to seal the victory for the Panthers. So I'm hoping it comes down to week 18, Panthers, Buccaneers in Tampa for the division, because that's going to be one hell of a matchup, especially like because it's going to be in Tampa. The fans in Tampa are wild, so it's either going to be a huge celebration, the Buccaneers winning that division, or you're going to see some very angry drunk pirates floating around Florida afterwards.
Arr.
But like it's just that we were so high on the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield earlier in the season. You know, we had an entire section dedicated to Baker
Right off
Mayfield,
really
and
quick.
like the Buccaneers have just they just had such a kind of drop off in the second half of the season, and you know, obviously, pieces missing on offense with some injuries to players there, and Emeka Buka has stepped up really well there. Defense, I don't know. Obviously, they can't really speak to what's going on, that sort of things. But it's interesting how the fates of the two teams have flipped, and the Buccaneers just can't seem to get out of their own way, and they've kind of lost their mojo a little bit.
It's how you finish, not how you start in the NFL. As long as you can start in some way. So, I mean, Houston were 0-3 to start this season, right? And Houston are going to be in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah.
So it is absolutely the run you go on in the second half of the season as opposed to the first half. And who stays the healthiest? This plays a huge factor in who goes on to win the Super Bowl every year. Which roster can stay the healthiest? Keep your superstars healthy. And as to Bryce Young, it almost looks like a bit of time to develop their first round pick has paid off. I wonder if we'll see a trend in the future with that.
Yeah. I still argue that first round picks should get time and not be thrown into the fire. But that's just me. That's just
Speaking of other teams getting hot at the right time, and former first round picks who were thrown into the fire and have now bloomed into franchise quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars getting a huge statement win over the Denver Broncos yesterday. Jaguars are like they're 10-4. They are on 11-4. 11-4 after the win last night against the Broncos, and are on course for the playoffs. And because there's still only two AFC teams who have clinched a playoff spot after the Patriots bet the Ravens last night. Go on, Connor.
Trevor Lawrence has been very lucky with his circumstances, and he's been brilliant now. But if he got drafted by the Jets, he would not be a franchise quarterback at the moment. Look at
Zach Wilson. Look what happened to his career.
Exactly right. His first year was under Urban Meyer, so nobody even looked at Trevor Lawrence tape. Right, that was just a complete write-off of a year. And then Trevor got a stay of execution when they had that 27-point comeback in the playoffs a few years ago as well. And then they nearly went into Kansas City and won in the divisional. So that's why Trevor Lawrence has been allowed to play at a subpar NFL franchise quarterback level for years and still get to this point where he is the guy. And he has had so much time to develop, and now he looks so good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it just goes to show you, man. Right circumstance, right place, right time. And Trevor deserves it, but had he have gone to any other team in the NFL without those circumstances, I don't think Trevor Lawrence in the position he is today. So he is the opposite side of the spectrum, very fortunate, and has taken advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, that division is looking interesting. It's another one to keep an eye on if you're a general football fan, because it's literally going to come down to Texans and Jaguars. It's basically a race to the division title. As we alluded to, a lot of teams in the AFC haven't locked in positions yet, only two. Yeah. Whereas the NFC, we have 6 that have guaranteed their spots, So we're looking at a very interesting week for playoff football. The Bills escaped the Browns.
Yeah.
The Bills escaped the Browns. So if I was Bill fans, I'd be slightly worried. As I've said past couple of weeks, you're seeing the resurgent New England dynasty coming back. We all knew they were going to beat the Ravens. The Ravens can't hold on to a 4-quarter lead to save their life. But you're seeing a resurgent Patriots. The Bills escaped the Browns by a field goal. And if I'm
the Chargers bet the Cowboys as well. Chargers have been sneaking good for the past few weeks. Convincingly, and they're playing the Texans. That's a massive game next Sunday.
Massive game.
Chargers and Texans.
Yeah, but if I'm a Steelers fan, I'd be worried about Sunday against the Browns. One thing I want for our offensive line to do is hold. Every time Myles Garrett comes in, just hold him. Hold him. Get a holding penalty every time. I do not want him getting the sack record, against us. Just hold him.
All I'll say is if you win a division in the AFC right now, you're facing it's Buffalo, it's Houston, or it's the Chargers.
I don't
And
want
the
to beat
order
the
could be
Chargers.
whatever. It's a scramble. I don't think you want anybody coming into your
No, I
building,
don't want any
particularly,
of
right?
them, but out
You're
of the
not.
three of them, I definitely don't want the Chargers because I was about to say Philip Rivers because he's back. Justin Herbert is having a sneakily good, like, what?
especially
Yeah.
with a broken hand and the hookups he's had to Quentin Johnson this year as well. I
Yeah,
mean,
I might take the Bills.
That Quentin Johnson touchdown in the corner. Woo, just dropped it in his bread basket over it. But yeah, Bills can be like Steelers and Bills have a horrible history when it comes to playoff.
yeah.
But I'd be more.
And so do the Steelers and Jaguars. We all remember what happened with the
The Steelers have
Saxonville
terrible playoff history
Jaguars.
in general. We're not going to mention that. But not to dwell on the Steelers too long. If I'm a Steelers fan, I don't want the Chargers coming into Acrisure. I don't want anyone coming in, but I don't want the Chargers.
But just going back to that Jaguars and Broncos game for a minute, because Trevor Lawrence had I want to kind of focus on the quarterback comparison a little bit. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He's what Bo Nix should aspire to be. You know, Bo Nix had a good game, but he couldn't. He's a great connection with Cortland Sutton. Broncos, they're still good, but that's been their kind of story all year. They always play from behind, and they always kind of ramp it up towards the end of the third, fourth quarter, and that's just not going to be good enough coming into the playoffs when you're
I
going
think
against the best in the league.
The Broncos are the most fragile AFC playoff team out of the bunch.
The Broncos look like the team that could take the 1 seed and crash out in their opening game at the moment. Like, and you can't live off that reputation of being the comeback team over and over. Eventually, your luck runs out, and it did against an excellent Jaguars team. So potentially some concern in Denver.
Yep, definitely.
There's still 6 playoff spots to play for, and like we say every week, every game counts now at this stage. I mean, going back to that Chargers Texans game, absolutely humongous on Sunday. Sorry, that's on Saturday at 9:30. So Irish fans listening, we will be able to watch that at a reasonable hour.
Jimmy, with Monday Night Football tonight being the 49ers and the Colts, plays a big factor. There are still 6 spots available, as you say, but it's going to be a sort of shuffling of spots. If the Colts fall tonight, which we expect them to against San Francisco, 4 teams will lock their spot in the AFC playoffs. That's a huge game in playoff implications.
Well, Monday Night Football, Connor, as you say, and let's jump into that for a few minutes before we talk about our own Charlie Smyth, because I do want to dedicate some time to what he's doing, what he has achieved in such a short space of time. 49ers Colts, 49ers locked up playoffs with the loss of the Lions yesterday, but they're still playing for the division, Connor. And I mean, I can only really see Monday Night Football going one way, because it's going to be a 49ers win. The way the Colts, again, they're another team like the Buccaneers, who started out so hot. They were playing at a really high level, and then they haven't won a game since Germany. I think you cursed the Colts, actually, personally, because you were at the game, the last game they won, and now they can't win a game. They had such terrible luck with Daniel Jones going down. Riley Leonard played well in relief, but then they signed Philip Rivers, which in theory might have been a nice idea given his familiarity with the organization and the system, and Shane Steichen. But he just hasn't got the arm anymore. He was 0 for 3 on deep passes last week. Had some nice completions in kind of short range, medium range. And like the 49ers defense, they are banged up, especially around the secondary. So if he's able to get something going in the kind of short to medium range there, but dink and dunk is not going to win this game for you. And the way Purdy's been playing, it's only going to be one result, I think, on MNF tonight.
San Francisco are not only playing for the division, they're playing for the 1 seed potentially, and it's so condensed at the top of the NFC. It's next week, assuming San Francisco win tonight, which we expect they will do. It's the Bears next week. It's the Bears and the Niners going at each other. Like, the NFL just gets better and better. It really is. Happy Christmas, everybody. I'll say it again. I refuse to take sole responsibility for the downfall of the Indianapolis Colts. But my goodness, if ever a football team has gotten really unlucky in an excellent year, it is them. So sometimes you're battling things that just are out of your control, and that's been the downfall for Indy this year, and it's so unfortunate. But again, it's like, the best teams, the teams that go on and win a Super Bowl, are generally the healthiest teams. And if you get the injury bug, man, you can just forget it. So unfortunate, and I really feel for Indy and their whole fan base because they're having a great year.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I know a lot of people are going to say it's a guaranteed win for the 49ers. Remember, Grandpa Rivers, old man Rivers, had not played a down of football for 5 years before he came back. His first game against the Seahawks, lost by 2 points.
Yeah.
Like, one of the best teams in the NFC this year, he lost by 2. Yes, he's got Jonathan Taylor, he's got a good defense, stuff like that, but he's played fairly mistake-free football. 1 interception, 1 sack, 1 touchdown. For a guy who hadn't thrown a ball professionally in 5 years, don't write old man Rivers off just yet. I have a feeling he may cause a little bit of an upset against the 49ers tonight. Yeah, you're going to have to get Jonathan Taylor going. That's just the benefit of having a generational running back. But if he can get him going, even Dinkin and Duncan, I think he can outperform Brock Purdy. I'm still not high on Brock Purdy. He's Mr. Irrelevant. I think he's more of a game manager than he is like a Hall of Fame quarterback. He gets the job done. Like, don't get me wrong. But 49ers fans, don't go into this Monday Night Football thinking it's all like, that's it, we got this wrapped up onto the net. Let's focus on the Bears. Don't do that. Focus on the team in front of you. Get the Colts, sort them out, because if not, I think Rivers might upset some 49ers fans tonight.
Connor, what are you thinking? 49ers, Colts?
I'm thinking I hate the term game manager. And I really have to pick twists up, and I would be annoyed.
I'm sure quarterbacks hate that term, don't they?
I couldn't give a damn about the result. Like, I hate that he said that term in that sense, because if somebody talked about me as a quarterback and they didn't coin me as a game manager, I'd be disappointed, right? As a quarterback, we need to manage the game situationally, and Brock Purdy, in such a good system, as long as he does that, they're going to have great success. And he doesn't have to be super flashy. He just has to be an excellent player at managing the game, and he will help his team to a great record year in, year out, which is what happens with the 49ers every single year, and why we always talk about them in December. So, actually, regarding the game, this is San Francisco win this one. I'm fairly confident.
Well, there you go. Monday Night Football going the way of the way of San Francisco. Connor, out of curiosity, not to put you on the spot here, but if the Colts do lose, who are the teams that get into the playoffs? Do you have it in front of you?
Everyone that is currently sat in the playoffs in the AFC, with the exception of Houston.
Yep.
Oh,
so
okay.
Jags, Steelers, Chargers, Bills.
Yeah,
lovely.
They're the 6. Houston's the 7th seed.
So this is a massive game then tonight for the AFC teams.
It is, because it locks everyone in. Even if Indy win tonight, unlikely that they're gonna cause a ruckus in any way, because they finish up, I've got it here on my left, I haven't quite got photographic memory, but they finish up hosting Jacksonville, and then I believe they have Houston in the final game. So they've got the 2 strong teams at the top of now, heck, they could win those games. I'm talking as if like they're just not going to win. And Twist, I think you have a lot more faith in Philip Rivers than I do in the Colts in general.
He's from the same generation as Eli and Ben. Like, I remember.
I'm a bit younger, I suppose. Yeah, maybe that's why.
There's probably actually people possibly listening to this podcast who have never seen Philip Rivers play, because he retired in 2020 or 2021. But we're the generation that grew up watching him play for the fucking San Diego Chargers.
Just 2004 draft class.
The San Diego Chargers, not the LA Chargers, but he played for the LA Chargers as well, but the actual San Diego Chargers. So there you go. That shows showing our age there.
Yeah, but as Connor alluded to, if they lose, like, a lot of the 6 of the 7 seeds in the AFC clinch or are locked in, and then it's just fighting over positioning then for the remainder of the season. So the Colts can either make a lot of teams in the AFC very happy by blowing this game, or they can just make the AFC fan bases wait another week to see what happens and make their teams actually take care of business.
Definitely a lot at stake. Okay, before we jump in and look ahead to week 17, including that Christmas triple header on Christmas Day, which is Thursday, in case anyone was wondering what day it is, because I woke up this morning, forgot it was Monday, and was wondering why there was so much traffic, etc. I was like, oh yeah, it's still a work day. So Charlie Smyth, the news we were all waiting for, came on Friday evening, officially became a full-time member of the New Orleans Saints football club, signing a 3-year contract. Uh, exactly what he deserved after the way he performed when he was called upon. I mean, I can't stop talking about his first ever NFL regular season kick was a 56-yarder cold off the bench, and he rewarded the Saints in style yesterday against the Jets, effectively winning them that game. 5 out of 6 on field goals, tying the Saints record, which curiously his kicking coach, or one of the kicking coaches, John Carney, played for the Saints. He is also on that list. And so there's a nice little connection there between the two of them. 5 out of 6, including a 50-yarder. He did shank a 61-yarder, which would have been insane if he had missed that. And I do have to apologize to Charlie. I'm sure he's not listening, but I may have slightly jinxed him, because prior to that kick attempt, I put up a post saying Charlie does not miss, and then he went and missed. So I know, I'm a jinx. I'm a jinx. I caught enough shit on Twitter for that, so don't worry. But unfortunately, it didn't affect him too much, because he did have a sensational game. And Connor, his stock is just rising and rising. And like, if he keeps this up, obviously he has a 3-year contract now. We didn't see the terms of that contract. I'm sure he was rewarded handsomely, and people speculating online it's in the region of 4 million plus a signing bonus, which. And you saw he came out after the game, and I watched his media session, and he's so humble, and he gave credit to everyone else but himself, the organization, the offense, the defense, the operation, just solely focused on the team. So I think it's safe to say that the Saints gamble has paid off with this Charlie Smyth situation.
Charlie Smyth deserves, by the looks of it, everything has gotten. And that gives me faith in humanity, seeing this story. And just from the football aside, I am so happy for Charlie Smyth. So congratulations to a young man who has gone out there, chased a ridiculous dream that was never, ever going to come true, put the work in, been patient, and then gone out and executed at an unbelievably high level when the stakes are at their very highest. Let's remember, during the 3 weeks when he was on that kind of trial period, elevation, escalate off, on, off, any miss inside 40 yards and he was gone. Like, let's face it, the kid can't do it. So it's amazing, man. And I'm just, as a fellow countryman, I am very, very happy for him. I'm very, very proud of him to fly the flag for our country. And whatever those numbers are on that contract, I'm sure he'll be very, very happy looking at that hitting his bank account each week now for the rest of the season and the next 3 years. But with the kicking, it might be a 3-year contract, but as we don't know the stipulation of it, he's got to kick well every week. We see kickers come and go very, very quickly in the NFL. So it's about maintaining that high level. But I don't have any doubts that Charlie Smyth will maintain that, because he just looks rock solid.
Yeah, it's because he's undrafted, it's not fully guaranteed. There's no guaranteed money. It's going to average out about $840K for the 3 years, which is better than a slap in the face.
You bet me to it. I'm over on here on overthecap.com. I just typed in Charlie Smyth, so that's what you were doing there.
Yeah, I'm always on Over the Cap. Over the Cap's one of my bookmarks, just to check in case salaries come up. But yeah, it's about $840K without incentives. We don't know what the incentives are because the deals aren't there. But as Connor says, the general incentive for a kicker is make the goddamn kicks. Don't miss them. Make the kicks. Make the PATs. Do your job. And he done it. Like, tied the franchise record for most field goals in a game. His name on the big scoreboard in the Superdome. That's got to be a moment, regardless of how his career goes. You can never take a moment like that away. Seeing your face on the scoreboard of the Superdome in the Saints, going from a primary school teacher playing GA football to kicking on for one of the biggest franchises in NFL, and he'll be back this side of the world next year when they go to play in France with the Saints. So
there'll be a massive Irish contingent in Paris next year if that actually does happen. The Gaelic gridiron will be at the forefront as well. But I think it's just fantastic what his story has done for the sport in Ireland as well. I mean, one of the questions, he was asked about the support back home, and he gave a massive shout out to the likes of us who are promoting the game here. Day in, day out, doing our part, the fan culture here. But I think his presence and the fact that he has executed at this high level and that has proven that he does belong in the NFL. You have commentators during the games talking about Gaelic football. So that just raises and talking about the support back home. I think Laverty's Bar got a shout out on the the Saints Jets broadcast as well. So it's just it's always so special when you do hear Ireland and the Irish fans here getting recognition in no matter what way it comes about. So I think the whole thing is just fantastic. It's like a Christmas miracle. It's like a fairy tale, really. So
if you pay attention to the adverts between the games, and I know it's an awful thing to ask you to do, but if you pay attention, as of late, I've noticed that between certain NFL games and certain NHL games, there's a lot of adverts for come visit Ireland. So there's a big push for building tourism, and to have Charlie Smyth over there representing the country. Like
with a Guinness hoodie in his press conference.
I was going to say he wore a beautiful Guinness hoodie. Like I was seeing that hoodie, I was like, I want that hoodie. Like
if Guinness Ireland or Guinness have not capitalized on that, they're missing a trick there. There's a whole stream of content there.
Well, he can advertise 0-0 alcohol. That's about it. Or he can advertise alcohol as a player in the NFL, but you cannot be seen drinking it on camera. So that's probably about as much as he'll do for his advertisement. But listen, a great ambassador for the team.
Massive cultural lift as well for Ireland.
Love to see his success, and I know there's only a couple of games left in the season, but this is his time to literally shine. As we said in our WhatsApp group, before the Saints scored a touchdown, he was the Saints offense. He was driving that score up for the Saints, and you love to see it.
But look, we wish him the very best for the rest of the season. I'm sure he'll continue to play at this high level. Then he has the full season next year to elevate to the next level. He's a full off season to improve and work on his craft. And I know there's so many Irish kickers currently in college who are going to be getting a much more closer look by the NFL than they would have if Charlie hadn't got to this level with the Saints. So look, every time he came on this there was a post about him, or he came on screen yesterday for a field goal. I'm sure the entire Irish NFL fan base perked up. So we're all Saints fans here in Ireland now, as long as Charlie Smyth is still playing for the Saints. Lads, before we finish up, we're going to take. Go on, Twist.
I was going to say, time to talk about Christmas football.
Christmas football, indeed. Starting with the Thursday triple header on Christmas Day. Connor, your Vikings are taking on the Lions, and you might be without your starting quarterback who exited the game with a hand injury yesterday. He hasn't been playing the best recently.
Well, he'd be very good the past couple of weeks, and then it wasn't awesome in New York, and he got very lucky that the pick six that he threw, where he overthrew the receiver, came back because of an offsides prior to the snap. He then went and ran a crazy touchdown, and I mean, JJ McCarthy's nuts. He has no fear. You can't fault that, but at the same time, the lack of fear also is, there's a correlation there with the lack of fear and the amount of times he's been injured in NFL football games. There's no doubt about that. So the question about JJ McCarthy's durability and potential longevity in the NFL is certainly out there. Minnesota's job is to play spoiler over the next 2 weeks to get Detroit and Green Bay. So we'll see. But we're on a 3-game win streak, and Kevin O'Connell has them playing good football, especially the defense. They're playing really, really well. So we'll see. In terms of this Christmas slate, we've got it's great that we have 3 games on Christmas Day, obviously, but Dallas and Washington's a no-go. Detroit and Minnesota.
That's it. It's a shame that none of them really matter apart from the Minnesota and Vikings and Lions. I mean, Chiefs Broncos. I mean, that's a given. That doesn't really matter either, because it's okay.
I know,
but
who would have thought at the start of the season that Chiefs Broncos would be a given, and it's the Broncos who are going to win it? Like when they set that schedule up, they had no idea this was going to turn out like this, and that's why the NFL is such a beautiful product. It's just happened that it's just a bit of a dead slate, but you know what? Enjoy the time with the family, maybe.
Yeah, enjoy the time with the family, or if you don't like your family, light your family and say all these games have massive playoff implications and you need to watch them all, and you can't miss them because they're going to have huge rippling effects throughout the league. Play both sides of the field.
But it's nice having it's nice being able to have football on Christmas. I think it's great for fans. I mean, and it does give you an excuse to disappear off and sleep off the Christmas dinner, which is exactly what I'll be doing at about 7:30.
I'll be joining Connor. I'll be screaming skull on Thursday because I need the Vikings to beat the Lions because I need the Lions not to make the playoffs. Again, I've already said that I already made a prediction of the Chiefs not making the playoffs has come true. I need the Lions to come through, and then I need the Packers somehow to win the Super Bowl, and I'm 3 for 3 for the year.
Good luck.
So there's some
Yes,
other big games coming up on Christmas week as well. We mentioned the Chargers and Texans has massive playoff implications. More so, it comes down to Monday Night Football, as we mentioned. If the Colts do lose, the Chargers go in, then the Texans will be the only team on the outside looking in. So the Texans really might have more to lose by, or more value on that game when that rolls around. Steelers Browns, obviously, we're two Steelers fans here. We need to. It'd be nice to win out and win the division emphatically, and then set up a rematch with the Ravens, which we could potentially sweep. Panthers Seahawks, that's another massive game, Connor, coming on Sunday, December 28th for both teams in the NFC.
Massive game.
I was going to say the Packers need to beat the Ravens to stay in the hunt.
Packers would do us a massive favor if they bet the Ravens as well. And then 49ers Bears. I mean, there's two teams who are playing for NFC supremacy on Monday night. Sunday Night Football. That is kind of the biggest one, really.
That's the one. That's the one. If you're going to stay up for a game this year, I know they just get better and better each week because they get more and more important. But if you haven't stayed up for a game this year, and you're thinking about it over the Christmas period, Chicago at San Francisco, Sunday Night Football, that is most certainly the one to stay up for. It is just a humongous game in the NFC.
Yeah, I agree. Like, Steve, you're going to be tired the next day for one game, watch that game.
Yeah. No excuse, it's Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean, for anyone who hasn't opened their phone and checked Google before we finish up, right now, AFC, Broncos number 1, Patriots 2, Jags 3, Steelers 4, Chargers 5, Bills 6, Texans 7, Colts and Ravens 8 and 9. So they're the two teams that are on the bubble. Flip over to the NFC, Seahawks still hold the 1, Bears now 2, Eagles 3, Rams 5, 49ers 6.
And that could change again, depending on what happens tonight. And
who knows who's going to take the ones?
They're all locked up, and then not locked up but still in the hunt are Panthers at 4 and Packers at 7. So Packers fans, Panthers fans, you're still in with a shot. You're still there, still going. Don't give up on it. But as we mentioned plenty of times, Colts, 49ers tonight, either stay up and watch it and watch the fireworks happen as if they fall to the 49ers, see all the AFC slots light up like Christmas trees, or wake up in the morning and check it. If you're not interested in staying up, you want to save your late game for the Bears and 49ers, which I think you should.
I think it might be saving my late game. I mean, 1 o'clock was a push last night going to bed, but we'll see. I might be able to power through. It is Christmas. It is the end of the season. So, like you say, if you are going to watch one late game this year, stay up for that one. Lads, okay, I think we are going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much both for your time. Thank you to everyone who has listened and subscribed and supported us throughout the year. We will have one more podcast left this side of 2026 coming to after Christmas, and hopefully at that stage I think we'll have a much clearer picture of how the playoffs are going to shake out and how we are looking going into the postseason. Do make sure to follow us on Instagram and all social media if you haven't done so already, and check out our sponsors, Print My Pint. They've been extremely supportive this year, and we do appreciate everything they've done for us. And lads, if I'm not talking to you, which I'm sure I will be, have a great Christmas, and I will see you. I'll see you again in a week or so.